Hi, I'm Steve Shelley, and I want to welcome you here to Pro Diesel Modules. And in the next couple of minutes, I want to share with you why I believe adding a diesel power module to your pickup is the best way to improve its fuel mileage, increase your throttle response, and add some additional towing power. Now, I've been in this industry right now for 18 years. We started back in 2003. And from the very beginning, we worked with farmers and ranchers here in Montana, finding them the best solutions, really for power in the beginning. But as fuel prices started going up, we saw them go all the way up to $5 a gallon. We realized that increasing the mileage, the fuel mileage of those trucks was also very important. So I'm going to go through some details here with you and try to explain to you exactly what this does, why I believe it's safe and warranty friendly, and why this is the best choice for you to make if your truck is a tool and not a toy. Now, that terminology right there, tool and a toy, is really what divides the diesel performance market today. The guys that their truck is a toy, you know them, you see them because they're blowing black smoke. They jack their trucks up. They put huge tires on it. They don't care anything about mileage. They just want a toy. And it's all about power, power, power. It's all about black smoke. It's all about my dyno numbers. My truck has more horsepower and torque than your truck. That's the toy side. Now, the tool side is the diesel truck owner that is the daily driver, working class types that bought their truck to utilize for a tool. It's not a toy to them. It's a tool. It's something that a lot of our customers make a living with, like the farmers and ranchers. When a farmer or rancher or a contractor buys a diesel truck, that truck is to get stuff from point A to point B and get it there the most efficient as possible, right? See, that's a total separate class than the toy side of diesel truck owners. But here's the problem for the working class daily drivers. 95% of the market of diesel performance is geared towards the toy side. All about power, all about more bragging rights, all about, this and that. And it makes it very confusing when the working class truck owners are trying to increase the performance of their vehicle. Like, what do we use? Well, let me explain here real simply. There's really two methods to increase the performance of a diesel engine. One method is to open up the timing of the injector, the pulse width, to add more fuel. The other method is to increase the pressure on the nozzle or in the injector to get a finer atomized spray out to get a better air-fill ratio and more BTUs at combustion. So on this side, you have what's called pulse width, which is adding more fuel. And the other side is pressure, which increases performance through higher air-fill ratios, better combustion efficiency from better atomization. Now, I've been tuning Duramax diesels since 2006. And we actually have a product that is a pulse width where we open the injector up. This is our tuner. And in our tuner it's just a simple plug and play. It's got the wiring harness that plugs in underneath the dash. This plugs into here. And we use that to change the field tables on the truck's ECM. This is an ECM out of a 2008 Chevy Duramax. So we're changing the field tables on here with our tuner. And this is what we have for the 2003 to 2010s. We don't actually have the power modules for them just because, and I'll explain to you in a minute, but the fuel rail sensor to plug into is hidden back on the backside of the engine, and it's impossible to plug into. But when you're using a tuner, you're expanding the pulse duration of the injector, the timing. How long is that injector open before it closes, right? Well, this is a very old school way of doing it, and it works. I mean, there's products out on the market like these guys, SCT, great tuners. These guys do a wonderful job, but this is a pulse width box. It goes into the data port underneath the dash, right down there by where your emergency brake is. and you select what tune you want, and it changes the fuel tables that are on the ECM. Now, the problem with these, in my opinion, these are geared more towards the toy side because this is all about adding more fuel. And this is where you see the trucks out there that are blowing black smoke. Not saying that these guys do that, okay? I'm just saying that this is how it works overall, because I think SCT makes great stuff. I think Banks makes great stuff. And there's a lot of companies out there that make great stuff. But what their products are, I'm saying, is they're geared more towards the toy market. So when you're doing that pulse width and you're adding more fuel, why you see black smoke, excuse me, is when the exhaust valve opens up, the fuel is still burning. And that burning fuel goes up through your exhaust manifold and into the throat of your turbo. The result is a lot of heat, high exhaust gas temperatures, EGTs, and black smoke. Anytime you see black smoke, that's fuel that was still burning when the exhaust valve opened. So while this works wonderfully well for producing a lot of power, the caveats of it is the excess heat and black smoke. So these guys that really want, this kind of a product, they're really, to me, on the toy side, they're wanting that black smoke. They're wanting to burn their tires off. They're wanting those high dyno numbers, okay? Now, on the other side, on the on the pressure side, is what this power module will do, and I'm going to explain it to you right now using a chart to show you exactly that. Now, a power module is different in this is controlling the fuel pressure at the injection. Now, today, just about everything on the market is a Bosch common rail system. I mean, even your tractors now are all using the Bosch common rail system. And what the Bosch common rail system is, and I hope you can see this chart, is it is a staged system that basically at startup, you're running 5,000 PSI. When you kick over your truck, right off the get-go, you're already at 5,000 PSI. Well, you take older diesels, at their max, they were 5,000 PSI. Well, right now, today, just at initial startup, you're running 5,000 PSI, and you'll actually run all the way up to 25,000 PSI. So a common rail system is really, it's based of, you start with your fuel pump. Most of them have a CP3 or a CP4 pump in them now. You have your fuel rail, which each one of your injector lines come out of that rail, which is why it's called a common rail, because the rail is what holds your pressurized fuel that comes from your pump, because that's what your pump does, is pressurize it. And then from the rail, it feeds your injectors. And they're also a solenoid that adds to the increase of pressure. So to control this whole system of what pressure to run from 5,000 to 25,000, your ECM, which I showed you this here, right? Your ECM, EDU, PCM, whatever they want to call it, this has the fuel table stored in it. Well, this power module doesn't change your fuel tables. What it's actually doing is it connects with factory style plugs. You can see there's a factory style male and a female plug. Plugs into your wiring harness from the signal going from your brain box, your ECM, to what's called the rail pressure sensor that's on the end of the fuel rail. It's a signal that the ECM sends to it to tell it to be, I want you at this pressure at this RPM, okay? When you're at this, because your fuel tables, they look like Excel spreadsheets. And you have your engine load and you have your RPMs. So whatever your engine load is, and at whatever RPM it is how that it says, I want you at this PSI, at this load and this RPM, okay? What this box is doing, this is a little computer. There's microprocessors in here that are software controlled. This is very similar to the microprocessors that you find in your cell phone. And really, that's what makes this box kind of expensive, is because of it's a little mini computer, right, with microprocessors and software. It's intercepting that signal, and it's telling it, hey, let's say, and I'm just using these for an example, okay? And let me use this other chart here to kind of show you. This is RPM and this is power. You normally drive your truck on a daily basis, probably in the 1400 to 2200 range, okay? A lot of times you're probably around 1600 RPMs on your truck. What this box does when it intercepts that signal coming from the ECM to the fuel rail sensor, it's telling it this. Okay, let's say, for example, normally, and this is just an example, these are not exacts, I'm just using this as an example for illustration. Let's say normally at 2000 RPMs, you're running 20,000 PSI, okay, at the injector. Let's say at 1500 RPM, you're running 15,000 PSI. Well, what this box does is basically it tells it this. It said, hey, if you're running 20,000 PSI at 2,000 RPMs, let's run 20,000 PSI at 1,500 RPMs. See, we're bringing it down the scale. We're not really increasing it above and beyond the capabilities. We're just saying, hey, listen, if you're normally running 20,000 PSI at 2,000 RPMs, let's slide that down the scale to 1,500 RPMs. Well, why would we do that? Well, one of the illustrations, and honestly, I've been using this illustration for 18 years. You take a garden hose, right? You take the garden hose, you turn on the faucet, and you sit there and the water's coming out, right? It doesn't have any nozzle on it. Well, if you put your thumb on the top of that garden hose, it starts spraying out a mist, right? And the harder you push down on there, the finer mist that's going to come out. Well, when it comes to diesel and it comes to combustion efficiency, what you want is the finer droplets of fuel. So at 20,000 PSI, you're getting finer droplets of fuel than you are at 15,000 PSI. Well, how that helps you is this. The finer droplets of fuel, they're going to mix with more air. Your air-fuel ratio is increasing. So when that diesel combusts, it's going to release more energy, more BTUs. So instead of, like I said, instead of you running the 20,000 PSI at 2,000 RPMs, with the power module, we're saying, hey, common rail system, we want you to run that 20,000 at 15,000 or 1,500 RPMs. So now the power you were normally getting at 2,000 RPMs, we're sliding down the scale to 1,500 RPMs. Finer spray of fuel because of the increase in the pressure, more air fuel mixing, more combustion efficiency, more BTUs are released. Because one of the questions that we're asked all the time, well, if that's a power module, how are you increasing power without adding a lot more fuel in it like these guys do? Well, that's exactly how. Instead of adding more fuel, take and modify the fuel coming into smaller droplets by increasing the pressure. Like that pushing down on that garden hose, the more you push down, the finer the spray that's going to go out. I was going to get a spray bottle to show it, but I think you probably understand, like a spray bottle, when you squeeze it, that fine mist that goes out, right? Well, you want your diesel coming out of your injector nozzle, the finer the mist, the finer the plume. When it combusts, more energy is released. And that's how you can totally manipulate your power curve. And that's what I want to show you right here. Now, right here where I got the yellow, if you can see that, that's 1,200 to 2,200 RPMs. That's where you're normally driving your truck. I call it the driving zone, okay? What your normal power curve would look like, it's a little bit flatter. And I'm going to tell you why it's flatter. And this is the reason why your truck doesn't have the fuel efficiency that it could have. Emissions. Emission standards has caused the manufacturers literally to detune these engines, detune them under 2,200 RPMs. I've been saying this for years, And finally, I came across an article on, I think it's diesel.net, and I can't find the article again, but it was saying exactly what I've been saying for all these years, that the manufacturers were basically forced into detuning these engines down where you drive them. See, your truck is not really required for emissions above 2,200 RPMs. Because guess what? That's where you get into that throttle. When you're pulling a hill, you're not pulling 2,200, you're up there, right? But 98% of the time, when you're just driving around from point A to point B, you're in that probably 1,500 to 2,200 RPM range. So they have the manufacturers detune the engine and having you a flatter torque rise. Well, how do they detune it? Exactly the same way that we're doing the opposite. They just change the fuel tables to flatten out the torque curve. So what we're doing is coming in and saying, hey, let's take that torque rise and let's increase it. Let's make it go more vertical faster to get you up to the peak faster. And that's why not only do you see a better fuel economy, you see a faster or a quicker throttle response, because we're getting you up to that peak power at a lower RPM, strictly by sliding up and down the RPM scale, the PSI of the injection. And I hope that makes sense, because the biggest thing is I call this the detune zone, because that's what it's all about. See, guys call us every day and they say, listen, man, I deleted my truck. I've taken off all the emission stuff and I didn't improve my mileage. Why? And I explained it to them. You didn't increase your power curve that was detuned. See, the emissions equipment that's on your truck, I'm going to tell you flat out, leave it alone. Because one, if you remove it, you 100% voided your warranty. Two, it's very much against the law. And three, you just killed the resale of your truck, because against the law part, a dealership doesn't want to deal with it. Okay? So if you come back in with a deleted truck, they're going to so lowball you that, because they have to put it all back on by law in order to resell your truck, or they just get rid of it at a lowball. So I'm going to say, don't mess with your emissions equipment. It's just, don't do it. All right. Instead, change the PSI so you get a faster torque rise, so you get better economy. You beat the detune side by getting a faster torque rise. And that's exactly what this power module is doing. Now, I'll tell you a good example of this is if you go to a John Deere dealership, right, they'll have a tractor there at, let's say, 325 horsepower, 350, 375, 400, and 4 1/4. So it goes from 325 horsepower to 4 1/4 in 25 horsepower increments, but you're going to pay about $5,000 for each one of those jumps in horsepower. Actually, it's more than that. I think it's closer to $10,000. And you know, here's the funny part is that 325 horsepower John Deere is an 8.3 liter. You know what that 425 horsepower motor is? An 8.3 liter. Same engine, same displacement, 100 horsepower difference, but yet $10,000 between each 25 horsepower jumps. The Cummins 6.7 liter, it's used in motorhomes, the Freightliners now, your pickups. Last I looked, I was on Cummins' website, and I was looking up a model, and I think they had 12 different 6.7 liter Cummins engines on there. 6.7 liter, all of them. Guess what? 12 different horsepower ratings. Same engine, same displacement, 12 different horsepower ratings. How do they do that? Simply what I'm telling you here. Going back to this chart here. They change. They're changing this. They're sliding the scale up and down by simply changing in your ECM, your fuel tables, to say, hey, at this RPM, say 2,200 RPMs, we want you at 1,800 RPM or 18,000 PSI. Well, we're coming in saying, no, we're going to intercept that signal, because this just plugs in series. We're not making any changes in the ECM. This just plugs in series into your wiring harness. The plug that goes into your fuel rail sensor, we unplug it, plug this in to the fuel rail sensor. Now your factory wiring harness plug that's just sitting there, we take it and we snap it together with that. Boom. And it's snapped together. That's all it is. Now the signal coming out of the ECM comes through here on its way to that fuel rail sensor. So instead of saying, hey, instead of 18,000 PSI at 2,200 RPMs, we want you to go up 2,000 PSI more. So what happens is your power curve, instead of going like this, now goes like this. I hope that makes sense. It's really as simple as I can break it down. Now, I'm throwing out there some arbitrary numbers because, I mean, every truck, I can't tell you exactly what truck that Duramax does exactly these numbers, this PSI at this RPMs or this load of the engine, because those are all written into the fuel tables that are in your truck's PCM or ECM, okay? But we're not making any changes in here. We're just intercepting the signal coming out of here to the fuel rail sensor. That's all this is. It intercepts the signal. This is a computer. It's software controlled, and it's just changing it to say, hey, this is what we want it to be. And I mean, I cannot really explain it any more simple than that. And honestly, we spend probably 50% of our day on the phone talking to diesel truck owners like yourself, explaining just exactly that. And that's why I kind of wanted to put it in a chart to explain to you. You know, overall, this is what pulse width is, right? This is the toy side of the market. This is the tool side, the working class, daily driver trucks. This is great for tons of horsepower. These work. These are awesome products, you know? And these are for the guys, in my opinion, that wear their hats backwards. I tell you, the folks that we talk to every day, they quit wearing their hat backward a long time ago, and they pretty much wear their hat forward because they're going to work every day, and they're putting their money not into their trucks every day. They're putting it into their living. And that's why this has been our best seller and why we focus on the working class diesel truck owners now for 18 years. Because you're such an underserved market. Because like I said, the toy side, honestly, is only about 10% of the market. But 90% of all the diesel stuff out there, the tuners, the air intakes, the exhaust systems, all the stuff is geared towards the toy guys. And then you take the other side of the market, that's 90% of the truck owners that are the tool side, they're working class, and only a few products like ours are engineered for you. So I hope I've explained that enough that it makes sense. Call us at our 1-800 numbers, 800-450-5333. Hit extension 2. My business partner, Alan, he usually is the one that answers the phone. He'll explain exactly to you what I just did again here on this video. But this product, it works. I mean, we've been selling this for 18 years. And I'm telling you, the engineering in this is we didn't stop 18 years. This is being continuously built on engineering every year because I tell you what, I mean, just all these trucks now going from 2020 to 2021, you know, Ford and the Power Stroke and GM with the Duramax, they're making changes. They're changing things in there, so we got to keep up with their changing. Our engineering has to be up right there with the GM and the Power Stroke and the Cummins engineering, because every few years we have to totally change these up. We have to sometimes come out with faster microprocessors in them. The software has to be rewritten and to adjust because honestly, they don't want us in there. Okay, they don't want us in there again, and they're trying to put things in there to keep us out. So the engineering into this is to take a step ahead of them all the time. But one of the main questions we asked, one, is it safe? Well, what I just showed you and how we just slide that PSI up and down the RPM by manipulating the signal, yeah, we don't exceed. We're not going to exceed. We're not going to add too much fuel. We're not going to over exceed the power of the truck. I mean, even on the highest setting on this, it's 90 horsepower. That's well within what your truck is capable of. Like I said, you take that 8.3 liter over on the tractor side of the John Deere, they got two tractors with the exact same engine, 100 horsepower difference. See, there's a lot of horsepower that your truck is capable of well within your drivetrain's limitations, okay? So it's safe. Now, one of the big questions well, what about my warranty? This truck's brand new. Here's the thing. Remember, I showed you here on this chart. On this chart, we go between the ECM and the rail sensor. We just intercept the signal. No changes are ever made inside of this ECM. No changes are made in here like a programmer will, okay? This programmer changes the ECM. We don't do that. We're intercepting the signal. So when you remove this box off of your engine, you just, really, it's every truck is a little different, but it's simply just plug and play, pop it in, plug this one in, take your wiring harness plug it back into this, boom, and there you go. It's that simple. When you disconnect this before you take it into the dealership, there is no fingerprint left in your ECM that anything was installed because we never change anything in here to begin with. That's why we call them warranty friendly. But I will tell you this, please do take these out before you go in, because actually this morning I had a customer call me and he's like, oh man, he says, I took this in and I didn't take it out. He's had it for a couple years in his truck and he said, I love it. I think, man, it increased me. I think it was around 4 to 5 miles per gallon. He got as an increase. He said, man, but I left it in there. They opened the hood and it's sitting right there. So now he's like, talking to his dealership, about it so they'll honor his warranty. But I think a good dealership should, because first off, if they understood anything about this, because we actually have some dealerships that buy from us and they install them basically out the back door because they've put this on their computers. They can't find it even when it's installed. So they know that it's warranty friendly if it's removed. I'm just throwing that out there, but if you purchase one of these from us, which I highly recommend you do to improve your fuel economy, your throttle response, and get more low-end towing power. But if you're going to take it in for service, please listen to Steve right here. Take it off so the dealership doesn't see it sitting right there when they open up the hood, okay? Now, on our website, we have 2 different modules that you'll see. You will see the Truck Edition module, and you will see the Pro Performance module. Now, here's the difference between the two. We have these manufactured 2 separate places. We've been in this industry long enough to know you don't put all your eggs in one basket. So we literally have 2 different sets of manufacturing, 2 sets of engineers. The biggest thing about the difference is literally the upper end on the Pro module is the 90 horsepower settings. Now this comes, I didn't grab it, I should have, but this comes with a switch that hooks into here. Most people just leave it under the hood. It's just a simple switch that goes from stock 30, 60, and 90 horsepower. Now, if you got a 2.8, 3-liter engine, that's 20, 40, 60, not 30, 60, 90. But on the bigger diesels, it's 30, 60, and 90 horsepower. Now, on the 90 horsepower side, the Pro module, and this is really the difference between the two, the Pro module brings in a signal coming from your manifold pressure sensor to allow a better air-fill ratio at the 90, so it just runs smoother. Some guys, and what they're trying to eliminate was some people, when they would crank it up to the 90 and they're pulling, the truck would kind of do a little bit of fluctuation. You could just feel a little surging in there. So when we connected it in with the input signal coming in from the manifold pressure sensor, the MAP, manifold absolute pressure, it eliminated that and it runs smoother. And actually we can take it up higher. I mean, we could really take that module up to probably 120 horsepower. But again, we're staying within the tool side, the working class. So that's really the difference between the truck and the Pro is, 30 and 60, honestly, the 30 horsepower, you're running this on the 60 horsepower. That's where your best mileage is. That's where you're going to see in both of them, Pro and the Truck Edition, you're going to see your best mileage there. But if you want to run it higher, you're one of those guys, you do like that little snappier throttle. And this will increase your throttle too, but that really powerful throttle, you want that 90 horsepower, then the Pro Edition, the Pro module is what you want. But that's really the difference between the two. You can literally, if you're just going to run the 60, you can just flip a coin and choose either one. But if you want really to hit that 90 horsepower, go with the Pro module. So anyways, hopefully I covered most questions that people ask us on a daily basis. Look at my notes here. I think I got everything. Yep, I pretty much said everything I wanted to say in this video. All you need to do now is either call us at the 800 number, 800-450-5333, hit extension 2. If you have any issues installing this, they will come with a booklet, okay, an installation booklet that'll show you pictures and diagrams on how to install this, where to find the plugs. It's all there. We even have videos on some of the modules. And if there's any problems ever with the module, please call the tech support number, okay? I can do tech support, but I'm not a technician. My hands, for the most part, stay clean. The technicians, these are part of the engineers. These are guys that are in there every day doing everything. They can answer your questions better than the sales staff does, okay? So every module will come with a installation booklet. If you've got any problems, if ever a check engine light pops up, anything, please call the tech support number because, you know, these trucks are all computers today. Sometimes they'll just burp and a check engine light will come on. Technician will tell you, hey, just unplug this and plug it back in, turn your key off, turn it back on, and it just resets the check engine light. So anyways, any more questions, please call us. If you're here on the website right now, or if you're going to go to the website, click on the button below for learn more, and it'll take you to our website. Yes, we have a module for your pickup. All right. I get people all the time, hey, you got a module for my pickup. If you click on the learn more button, it'll take you to our website. And yes, we have a module for your pickup. You can put in there, I have a Chevy. Okay, which one? The big diesel, little diesel, what year? And it'll pop up and say, here's the modules for your truck. And we have a module from all the way back into the late 90s with the Power Strokes, all the way up to 2021 for your truck. They're on the website. So instead of writing comments below this video asking me if we have a module, please click on the Learn More button, or if you're actually on the website right now, click on your truck model, or go to the little thing there that says Chevy, Ford, Dodge, Ram. Put in that, and it'll show you exactly what module fits your truck. All right, I think I'm done there. Thank you for staying with me this whole time. I hope that we're going to be talking to you soon. You know, we've been doing this for 18 years. We've got tens of thousands of customers with this module. I mean, tens of thousands. We sell a lot. Okay, I'm just in 18 years, we've sell a lot. And people say, well, if you sell a lot, how come I don't see it all over the place? Because we're not over in the toy market. You know, our customer base is not out in that toy side. We're not, you know, if you go into a diesel performance shop, you're not going to find us, because you're going to find these guys on here that spend millions of dollars to get you in there to buy this for the toy trucks. That's not where our customer base goes. Our customer base being your farmers, your ranchers, your contractors, your guys that pull boats, campers. They're not shopping those areas. So we don't spend any money to go advertise there. And if we're not spending the money, then we try to compete on the shelf with, say, SCT or one other of these companies that spend millions and millions of dollars. The guys behind the counter in that performance shop, they're going to push this. It's just because that's where these people are spending money. That's why you're looking at me here on the internet, and you're not seeing us all over the place. But we've been doing this for 18 years. The gentleman that I started with this 18 years ago, Dr. Barry Sadler, he's literally the pioneer of this industry. I mean, he started back in the mid-90s taking 12-valve Cummins and setting land speed records with them by changing the flow rates and the plume patterns of the injectors. I spoke with a guy one day that he said, you work with Dr. Sadler? And I said, yeah. He goes, man, I was at this truck pull one time, and this guy pulls in with his living quarters horse trailer, and he unhooks it, puts a swimming pool out there, puts his kids in it. He goes over to the truck pull with the truck that he just drove in there with, pulling his camp or his horse trailer. He beats everybody in the open class, and then just goes and parks over there. We're all looking around going, this guy must be really have this truck jacked up. And they go over there and they ask him if they could look under the hood, and they looked under the hood, and it's like, this thing looks stock. And Barry just looked at him and laughed. He goes, yeah. He goes, but this is what I do. And he started explaining it to him with the pumps and the injectors and all. This is back in the late 90s, okay? I met him in 2003, and then I've worked with him ever since with his company. But the engineering of this goes back to literally the brains behind this goes back to one of the very pioneers of the whole performance industry for diesels. You know, that just literally only started 25 years ago when diesels started getting really popular. So anyways, enough of this video. Click on Learn More to find your truck, the module that'll fit your truck. Remember, the Pro module is for the higher 90 setting. If you're just going to go with the 60 setting in MPG, you know, the truck or the Pro, just flip a coin, choose one of them. But if the Pro module really is going to give you a better running 90 horsepower. That's really the difference. But choose the one for your truck, add it to your cart, or call us. We got somebody there 12 hours a day to take your order. We'll get it shipped out to you as fast as possible. Now, listen, folks, with COVID and everything going on, sometimes the supply chain, parts in, parts out, are a little bit slow. So please give us a little grace. We try to get these out within, 48 to 72 hours, but sometimes there's a part that we need this piece here, and it takes a little while to get here because everybody's been affected by the COVID, all the way back to the people who make the wires, to the people who make the plugs and the pins and the processors. Everybody's been affected. So, and remember, there was a time last year where everything was shut down. So all supply depleted, and now everything we get is literally hot off the press. So please, we will get it to you as fast as humanly possible. And just recognize that. I mean, we try to get them out 48 to 72 hours in the mail. Sometimes it takes 5 to 10 business days. All right. So anyways, thank you for watching. Click on the Learn More button below this video right now, or choose your pickup if you're on the website. Add this to your cart, and we take every credit card you can possibly imagine. So thank you for watching. Have a great day.